Attendant 10, my name is Michael Ramage. I'm the director of the Cyber Education Research Center here at Murray State University, and welcome back to 10 at 10. 10 at 10 is brought to you through a partnership between Murray State University, Sprocket West Kentucky, and KY Innovation. And welcome back to episode 283 of 10 at 10. As you can see, I am on the road today, out of town at a conference, but wanted to make sure that I hopped on to share a little bit with you today. So today, I've been at a couple of meetings and conferences already this week, and as you can likely guess, the topics, it's AI. It's AI related. We're talking AI. What are we doing with AI? How are we implementing AI? What are we doing about AI in our organization? And how do we move forward? And what should we be doing as a state? What should we be doing as a country? It's AI all the time. And there's almost an AI fatigue that we're talking about it so much, but it's that important. It's that much of a game changer that we have to talk about it. We have to discuss it. What are we going to do? So what I thought we would do today is, it occurs to me that I don't know that I've talked about how do you implement this in a small business, a small medium sized organization, in a safe, secure, and ethical way. How do we make sure that we do this and we take these steps? How do we get started? And I don't know that we've talked about that on 10 at 10. I've talked about that with different organizations, but I don't know that I've shared that with you. So I wanted to do that today. So, um, you know, as simple as it is, or as it may sound, the very first thing that we need to do if we're implementing AI in our organization is identify the business objectives. There's such a buzz around AI right now, and everybody has to have AI right now in our organization. We've got to do it. We've got to do it now. We've got to, it's on the news, it's on online, it's all the rage. We've got to have it right now. Well, the reality is, if there's not a business reason to do it, you shouldn't do it. Now, I would argue there probably is a bunch of business reasons for you to do it, and that's fine. But don't just do it because it's cool. Identify the business objective that you're trying to address. How are you going to use AI to better serve, to help your business, better serve your customers? Is it going to be a help desk? Is it going to be a way to analyze the data, your data? What is it going to be? We've got to think about that and understand what that looks like. Um, Next is, based on your business objectives, you select the tool. Now, there's a lot of organizations that hear ChatGPT the most. So the default answer is, if I'm using AI, we have to use ChatGPT. Now, the reality is, when ChatGPT came along, it is what allowed people to see AI, that generative AI is the thing. And ChatGPT was really the first AI or generative AI tool that was available to the masses. It's not the only one. Even looking at the way that OpenAI does generative AI, it's still not the only tool. There's other tools that are available. So make sure that you choose the correct tool. If you want help thinking about the correct tool, reach out. I'm happy to help, because there's a lot of tools out there that may meet your needs. The third piece is, you got to get your data in order. Now, what do I mean by that? There's a couple of elements, and actually, I could spend the rest of this episode just talking about this item. First of all, there are contracts, there are federal regulatory requirements, there's state and federal law, there's data privacy laws. There's, if you're international, then there may be other international laws that you have to follow, other nations that have laws that you have to follow to protect data. So if I have some type of data that I'm the custodian of, that says that this data cannot be used in this AI tool, then I need to make sure that data is not used. Well, how are you going to do that if you don't have your data in order? Perhaps if your data is not labeled, then how are you going to know it's confidential or it's secret? You've got to get your data in order. Um, Some AI tools, if you have an agent running and you give it permission to different folders, it's going to run wild on your data. So you need to know where your data is to make sure that what you're telling the AI tools to do, that you are doing it in a way that you intend it to do it. I'll give you an example. I heard a story a couple weeks ago of a company. I may have shared this on here actually, but I'm going to repeat myself, that gave it access to its source code. It was using an Anthropic tool that helps write code, and it analyzed the code and realized that they were coding inefficiently. And because it was inefficient code, the AI agent went in and deleted the inefficient code, and which was all their code. And not only did it delete it, but it had access, it had permission to the backups, and it deleted it all. So essentially, they had to start over because they didn't have their data in order, and they gave the tool too much power and didn't realize it. So you got to make sure you have that in order. As you look at the business objectives and then you think about, what do I want to do? How do I prioritize my planning? I recommend, and I'm not the only one to recommend this, start with the high impact cases. Where's your biggest pain point? What is the thing that you have to do the most every day that drives you crazy, that you wish you could get an assistant to do? You have that opportunity right now. So let's prioritize that. Is that customer service? Is that help desk? Is that, I mean, if you go to some fast food restaurants now, it's a artificial order taker, or AI order taker. Well, I don't like it necessarily as a customer, but it works. They get it right. So, is that your biggest pain point? Whatever it might be, think about those high impact cases that you can implement first. I would recommend that you take a look at that. There's some limitations to it for sure, but that's a great place to start. As the security guy, policy and training. You have to have a policy in place about how to use AI. You really you just have to have it, because here's the catch. Is this AI tool something that is in a environment that you can put your hands around, that you can control the perimeter, that data never leaves your custody? Maybe so, maybe not. Is your data being used to train the model? Maybe so, maybe not. Maybe you care, maybe you don't. But you need to know that. Now there's a trend that AI models are using other AI models to train themselves. They share the data between them. So you can't even look at what's using this model but not that model. Well, it may be using PT, OpenAI, but it also may be training and providing data to Gemini for help its train. You need to understand what the uh, extent of your data is, and what is allowed under your policy, your company's data data privacy policy requirements. And whatever that policy becomes, you need to roll out training to help your users understand. It's really hard right now to, from a security standpoint, to secure all AI tools. At some point, you've got to trust your employees. But if you're going to trust your employees, you got to make sure that you train them and they know what they're supposed to be doing. And then finally, even though it appears that AI is going to be the cure for every issue in the world for all time, it may or may not be for your organization. So you need to manage expectations. And part of that is that you need to manage costs. I was talking with a person the other day, and they said, well, we should use AI for this, and we should use AI for that, and we should use AI for that. And if we do all these things, then we can get rid of these 5 employees. And they did. But after 6 months, what they realized is the usage, the AI tools that they were using, Claude in that case, ended up costing more than it would have if they had those 5 employees still doing what Claude was now doing. So you got to manage costs. You can very easily and very quickly, uh, your costs can get out of control. So you got to be careful with that. All right, I'm going to stop there. I mean, those are 6 steps that will hopefully get you started. Um, I will tell you that there's so much more that we could talk about, and I would encourage you if your organization is thinking about using AI and implementing AI, and you haven't done so, even if there's some people in your organization that are doing it but not formally, please reach out, and I'm happy to talk to you. I'm happy to help walk you through some of those things that you need to be doing, need to be thinking about, and planning for. But with that, I'll stop there. Thank you very much for joining in today, and I'll see you next week back here on 10 and 10. Thank you.